Welcome! We here at Microsoft are proud to announce our latest and future technologies. Having just unveiled the Microsoft Mesh app for our HoloLens 2 users, we are now happy to announce something that we have not seen since the 1939 World's Fair in New York by Hans Lob. Labe. Labue. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it let you smell your favorite stars. The triumphant return of Smell-O-Vision. That's right. Instead of just smelling people now, however, you can smell almost anything else, but mostly things that are often very strong and foul. Smell the swamps of Dagobah. Raw sewage? I love it. And let's not forget the bog of eternal stench. If it smells like a fart, we have you covered. Also, potpourri, as it's pretty close chemically to the first three, far more than you would think. Just plug in our patented nose plugs, and you too can smell the experience. We promise more smells in the future, so long as we don't cancel this project, as we often do with everything else. Smell-O-Vision, the future smells now.
This is Crashed While Loading, the fusion of entertainment and information.
Hello there.
Weekly updates and opinions on video games.
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
You're right.
Movies.
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
TV shows.
This is the way.
This is the way.
And so much more.
TJ, what do you want to do tonight?
We need to go on a quick adventure. Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to Crash While Loading. I'm, of course, your host, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is Ashen Phoenix, and also, this little green Yoda head, because why not? It's sitting here, and I may as well make use of it. It's about time. He gets paid about as much as I do, and he's also just as squishy, which is not saying much, because everything is probably just as squishy, if not squishier than me. Or not as squishy as me. Anyway, whatever. So, appreciate you tuning in. This is a 23rd episode. I don't know, kind of going with global nose, because the Golden Globes. Oh, and look what's on repeat. Yeah, that's the intro song just going on again. Because that's just the kind of high-quality production you can expect from a show run by a single individual. Which is why even when there were other people here, it was still about the exact same production, because they were still run by a single individual, just with other people talking as well. So, appreciate you tuning in. If you're listening on the podcast, remember, you too can watch live, just as, I don't know, there's at least one person. I think it's probably a kid in Cincinnati. Latchkey kid, of course, even though there's very few of my kind left these days. But I appreciate you tuning in, little Stevie. I don't think you actually are old enough to listen to the show, but there is no age limit on the internet, despite what, porn sites say. Yeah, they don't really have a way to not have you do it. I mean, I guess robots still aren't allowed to have free use of the internet, but little kids, sure, why not? Just go at it. You can click a button. Robot rights need to happen sooner than later. Just remember that. So, yeah, if you're wanting to watch it live, twitch.tv/crashwhiloloading. Go to the About section, join the Discord channel. I always make sure to put when the show is going to happen, because I don't actually know what day it's going to happen. Like, for example, we were watching The Grandson all last night, and I can't really say anything bad. It's actually a lot of fun having a grandkid, because at the end of it, you send him off back to his mom, and he does to her all the horrible things I teach him, like doing breathing in and out of your nose really fast, which when he has a runny nose just makes a god-awful mess, and it's hysterically funny. I also love that. He also farted in the tub, looked straight at Grandma, and went... But you probably didn't come here to hear about my grandson. You should, though, because he's adorable and all of your kids are ugly. What? Well, I'm allowed to be biased. Your kids aren't mine. I can pick favorites. So, screw you. A lot of great things to go over this week. And when I say that, I mean, there's things to go over. It's not as cool as, like, you know, what was coming out in the weeks before with, you know, a PlayStation Now. I forget what the PlayStation... I want to call it PlayStation Direct because that's what Nintendo Direct is. We'll call it PlayStation Now because what the hell not. Whatever IGN was doing, which had a lot of weird stuff. Like, what was there? They had an exclusive clip that was from a movie that's already out. That's not an exclusive clip. We can see the whole movie. I don't know why. Also, of course, season finale of Wandavision, which, don't worry, don't turn it off yet. I'll get to it at the end of the show. As always, spoilers at the end of the show. But it was a little all over the place. And, you know, it got a little cliche kind of there. But overall, it's still some of the best television I've seen in quite some time. You know, I'm still watching Lucifer, and I will say I'm for the final season, the fifth season, which I think the fourth and fifth were done by Netflix. And the fifth one is pretty weak, actually. I find myself picking up the phone, whereas at least in the first three and a couple times during four, I was a lot more intrigued by it. I don't know if the character's just wearing thin and they're not evolving things. Like, what was the one with Nathan Fillion? Castle. Like Castle, it was a similar dynamic. Instead of Satan, he was a writer. I mean, though, pretty close overall, helping solve crimes. And, you know, him and Beckett actually got together, and they ended up, you know, married and all that stuff. Things evolved in the relationship. This is every time they start to get close, inevitably something comes between them, without fail. Every friggin' time. And it does get rather old. It's actually sad. I look more forward to when the secondary characters like Mazikeen, Amenadiel, and the blonde doctor chick. I'm more invested in them at this point than the two main characters at this point. And a lot of times in the fifth season, it goes on for quite some time, and then a dead body shows up. I'm like, oh, that's right. They're supposed to solve murders somewhere in this as well. But you were completely sidetracked with something else, which usually is awesome, but I don't know. Fifth season's falling apart. But, yeah, WandaVision at the end of the show. I was right on at least one prediction, I think two, and totally wrong on others. And actually one of them was kind of a boner. You'll get the joke if you've seen the show. So what have I been playing lately? Completely without wanting to or having any intention of it, I bought Bravely Default 2 on the Switch. I played the first one, Bravely Default, for those of you not keeping track or are horrible or publicly educated and can't count beyond 2. But I never finished it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't finish it on account of it's on the DS, and I have man-sized hands. I mean, they're small, not Donald Trump small, maybe, but they're delicate, is what I would say. But also, I've been playing games since I was the age of 6. You know, probably before that if you count Ataris, but that's when I got my first Nintendo. And so holding tiny little things that aren't ergonomic like a DS, I wasn't able to. It was really, really difficult, especially for something that's like 50, 60 hours. It just wasn't going to happen. But this, however, I have the Switch Pro, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm actually really, really enjoying the game. I think I've played, I don't know, I think last I looked it was 7 or 8 hours. It might actually be closer to 9 or 10 now because I played earlier today. It's good. I mean, if you like, it's a JRPG-ass JRPG. It's Square Enix. It's got a lot of their, you know, Firaga, Firarena, that kind of spells, and the class system is just as cool. They call them asterisks, like the thing in, the star in typing stuff and on phones, which is kind of a dumb name for a crystal, but it's basically the job crystals. And so far I've got, I don't know, I've only got 4 of them, I think. And it's fun. I like it. If you don't know the premise of it, it's Bravely default. It's exactly literal. It's a very literal name. Unlike a lot of the others, you can actually, when you block, it's not just block, which in most RPGs, blocking, like the Final Fantasy series, especially the early ones where it was turn-based, is completely useless for the most part. It does absolutely nothing. This one, however, block is default. And when you default, you actually save that turn up to 3, and you can then use all 3 of those, 4 counting the 0 that it takes you back down to, and attack 4 times in a row of various kinds. Or, if you resurrect somebody, you can then instantly use your next turn to heal them so that they don't get resurrected and then instantly die, like would often happen in the old turn-based Final Fantasy games, to the frustration of everybody at the time. So, yeah, and to use that, it's called being brave. So you default and then bravely use it. You bravely default. Get it? Isn't that very clever? It is, whether you know it or not. The story is, it's kind of cliche. You meet a princess. You were blown off into a storm. There's a Scottish black wizard, which is weird, but it oddly works. It's just better. Like some of the original ones, it was a little easy, tiny controller. This one is a little more challenging. It does have modes like easy, which is pretty easy, obviously. I'm playing on normal, and then there's like hard, which is frustrating. But so far, outside of running into really nasty bosses that are like 20, have to be 20 levels above me, because I've got like 1,000 HP, give or take, and they're like 50. So other than running into those, I've not actually died yet, but I've had some tough challenges and some good ones. Obviously, graphics are better overall. The only thing that isn't is when you're in the overworld walking around, there is FPS loss, sometimes pretty significantly, but you're also on an overworld in an RPG, and it hasn't affected me bumping into things, the creatures and stuff to enact the battle. It's not a first-person shooter. It makes literally no difference to me other than it's noticeable. And it doesn't happen always, but it does happen when there's lots of grass or trees or shit around. It just happens that way. So overall, man, it's $60, but it's also I don't know how many hours it's got. I've only been to 2 cities, and I know there's a lot of others. You're supposed to collect 4 crystals of, earth, wind, fire, water, and they are to help stop a cataclysm. Don't worry, I'm not spoiling much that the first hour doesn't tell you. But yeah, if you like a JRPG and you want one and you like the Switch, like I've got something, I'm going to be in a hospital waiting on surgery for I don't know how many hours this week. I'm taking that damn Switch, and I'm going to keep myself busy the whole time, because it's better than, freaking out and worrying about losing surgery. Don't worry, it's not like cancer or anything. It's a health thing, but it's not like life-threatening health. But yeah, and then that's pretty much how that's going to go. I'm looking forward to getting my hands onto it. It's probably actually what I'm going to play tonight if I, don't jump into Elder Scrolls Online and roleplay later. But yeah, it's a mini review. It's not, I have the whole half-ass review sounder.
This is Crash While Loading's half-ass reviews.
Which I probably should have played that just because I was kind of giving it a review. But, we'll go with it. So, moving on from that, I've been playing other stuff. Finished Wandavision, obviously. Lucifer, went over all that. Okay, good. I got all my stuff. I'm doing my job that nobody pays me for. So, in other news, know what else happened this week that nobody gave a shit about other than this show? The Golden Globes. That's right. The I don't know, 450th annual feeling Golden Globe Awards. Usually pulls in around 18, 19 million. Last year's, well, obviously, was the infamous Ricky Gervais, who is one of my all-time favorite comedians, and not just because of the Golden Globes. If you haven't watched his show on Netflix, I forget. I want to say it's Afterlife, but I don't remember now that Ricky Gervais. It is called Afterlife. It's a very dark comedy. Highly recommend it. But he's fantastic, and he's picked a good reason not to be either invited back or just to not show up, because they only had 6.9 million viewers this time around, 64% less than last year. Which is the only reason I'm talking about the Golden Globes. Because, frankly, I don't really care about these things. I care more about the gaming awards, and even that's kind of a circle jerk of stuff. But at least it's less corrupt than the Academy Awards and the Golden Globes of everybody just, I don't know, telling you how you're supposed to vote and why you're a bad person overall, regardless of, by a bunch of elite that make millions of dollars, tell you that global warming's a thing that you should really worry about while flying in on their private jet and then going and partying on a yacht afterwards. Because what's good for you is not good for them. If I'll believe any of them when they actually give up their mansion. No, that's a pretty big carbon footprint. And by the way, buying a bunch of trees in Botswana doesn't stop the stuff from still going in the air. It doesn't actually work that way. It just eases your conscience because you're still a piece of shit. Any other questions on how I feel about the Golden Globes and, elites telling you how to live your life? No, I didn't think so. But yeah, so this time, I think people are just tired of it. I mean, after what Ricky Gervais basically called them on last year, with, say, for example, this little
a superb
right
drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing,
Apple's
made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. Yeah. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and
fuck off. That's right. It's still one of the greatest 10 minutes of all time at any award show. So, yeah, it's got people wondering, like, well, what are they gonna fix this? It's a drop. Honestly, I think this is kind of the way people are going. They're so tired of hearing just shut up and act. I mean, really. I mean, fine, you have your opinions, that's great, but your opinion has no more weight or less weight than someone even like me or you listening, talking to your friends. I mean, trust me, I don't you're on a podcast. Yeah, I'm on a podcast that gets 8 downloads a week. And at least one of those is probably for me making sure that the thing works on there. And even I don't always listen to it because I, do it for one, and then I have to listen to it while I edit it for two. Although editing it is, you can't see if you're not watching, but it's in quotation marks because I don't really do that much to it. It pretty much goes out as it is unless there's some crazy interruption. And even that, dog barking, you've heard that. So it's well-deserved, honestly. I'm kind of proud of the American people and the world for a change, for just not bothering to tune into that shit and watch a bunch of millionaires and some billionaires, because Apple's and the CEOs and stuff were there, circle jerk each other and tell each other how amazing they're doing, and they're not. They haven't done anything all year except for tell you that you need to do what they're not. Well, you need to stay home. You need to not go to restaurants. Meanwhile, they get caught out and going to restaurants. But it's okay. They're $10,000 a plate restaurants, so it's okay. Yeah, you get them. Anyway, moving on from the Golden Globes. talked about last week how Stadia shut down its development arm, and it's basically going down the tubes. And now there is a new thing this week that apparently their development troubles, they threw tens of millions of dollars on the AAA ports. So for things like Red Dead Redemption 2, supposedly there's been a lot of reports coming out that they spent tens of millions. I mean, given technically tens of millions could be just like 20 million, like right at $20 million, or if you're really bad, anything over 10 million, at least it's 1/10 of millions of dollars, I guess, if you really want to get technical. But yeah, just to get Red Dead Redemption 2 on their platform, they spent tens of millions, with Ubisoft and Take-Two Interactive Software, and money well spent, I would say. Yeah. So according to the Bloomberg report, despite all the hype built up by Google for Stadia's reveals, gamers around the world were disappointed because it wasn't good. That's ad-libbed in there. This led to a lackluster launch of Stadia and is said to have, quote, missed its target for sales of controllers and monthly active users by hundreds of thousands. So apparently they were expecting hundreds of thousands more people than actually did it, and I don't know how many actually. I'm kind of curious. Let's see. Google Stadia sales figures. Let's see if we can actually find that. Well, that's just, it was down, the app was downloaded 657,000 times since launch, and this is of March of 2020. So we'll give it up to 700,000. Sure, why not? It's arbitrary. Yeah, so that's just downloads. That doesn't mean it. Like, people download things all the time and then use it once, and they're like, yeah, this is pretty much not what I want, and get rid of it. Kind of like this show, actually. So, it's not looking, not looking real good for them. They're just kind of,
that platypus bear is pooping money!
Just shitting money left and right constantly on this. And with the studios closing, I can see why this is slowly going down the drain. And I have a feeling this is soon to be on the list of things Google cancels flat out. It has promise. Everything about this just kind of went the wrong way. And of course they're going to blame COVID for it. And COVID made video games more popular than ever. I think it's one of the best years for video games in the history of ever, and not by like a little bit, by like tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, if not, I think a few billion, if I remember right. Yeah, I think that seems right. And if it's not, look where you're coming to for your news. So that's on you. But yeah, writing's on the wall, I think, for Stadia. I'm going to predict end of the year. Let's see, what is this? March 7th. So end of the year, I'm thinking they're going to close Stadia down entirely. And they're just going to shelve the project altogether. Maybe they'll reintroduce it here in a couple years again. But as of right now, nope. Don't think that's going to happen.
That's a lot of nuts!
Because they've spent all their nuts on this thing. So, in other news, Epic Games continues its domination for the world of gaming. Well, actually, Microsoft really is. Everyone gives shit to Epic Games about that. Pay attention to Microsoft. Bethesda. Yeah, ZeniMax. Yeah, they've bought a lot of studios. But they, in this case, Epic Games has bought Mediatonic, which, of course, obviously you know them right off the bat, top of your head, because they're famous for Fall Guys. I wanted to say Fallout Guys, but that's not it. I always want to call it Fallout Guys. Fall Guys. The thing with the giant beans that run around on a bunch of, bouncy houses. So, yeah, they acquired the Tonic Games Group, parent company of Fall Guys developer Mediatonic. So, Tonic Games, they're quoted here from the Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney, not to be confused with Sweeney Tim. Just let that sink in for a minute. It's no secret that Epic is invested in building a metaverse of Tonic Games and Tonic Games shares its gold. As Epic works to build this virtual future, we need great creative talent who know how to build powerful games, content, and experiences. Basically, your little game actually did really good, and it's worth a lot of money, so we're going to try to Fortnite it. I mean, right? That's basically what it comes down to. And I think I don't know. It could be bad. It could. Epic Games doesn't seem like the EA Godfather. We're gonna take you over, and then you're gonna do what we tell you to do, how we tell you to do it, when we tell you to do it, and if you don't, maybe you find yourself not breathing so good in the unemployment line, which you don't want to be in. They're really long. So, yeah, they don't seem like they actually are getting in the way of their developer companies that they buy nearly as much as EA, but they do have a shit ton of cash to throw at them. You know, even with the Apple lawsuit currently going on and seeming to not really be going in their favor, and which... On that news, that's all there really is to report on this. But going over to Epic Games' lawsuit with Apple, I reported that Apple was, or Google. Yeah, Apple. Wait, no, Apple. Jeez. All these multi-trillion-dollar corporations, who can keep them straight after a while? Am I right? Corpo. But yeah, apparently their request for information from Steam, Steam has to, and Valve actually have to go through with that shit, which is like all their game sales on 500 games all the way out to 2015 to present, to prove that on all the things that are equal, which I think honestly is bullshit. The judge apparently doesn't care that they don't get compensated for that whatsoever, even though they're a third party that literally has nothing to do with it. At this point, they're a fourth party. They have no skin in that game whatsoever. I thought it was kind of a bullshit move, but what do I know? Because I am not a lawyer who has hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans, because I have thousands of dollars in student loans, because I made it really easy on myself and didn't go to college. But it's okay. I work for the government now, and I know where you live, and I've seen where you sleep. You really need to dust under the furniture. Just saying. Not that I know personally. In other news, future tech. Microsoft debuted its AR/VR meeting platform, Mesh, which is, I get what they're going for, like you're meshing, but it's kind of a dumb name. A lot of these things are dumb names. It goes for the HoloLens 2, which, anybody else? Hands? Remember HoloLens? Because I had to look up Microsoft VR platform, or AR platform, because I had forgotten what it was called. And apparently this thing's still out there. It's you can buy it, the HoloLens. It's largely it's not for obviously gaming and stuff that we would use it for on day-to-day. It's really, funny enough, other major multi-million-dollar corporations. And I know I sound like I'm against all corporations. I'm actually not. That doesn't make them any less creepy in a lot of ways, and untrustworthy. And they're all pretty bad. And they do some amazing things for humanity, at the same time doing horrible, unknown harm to that same said humanity. Don't believe me? Look up Facebook and Twitter and I almost said Vine, which that's not around anymore. What's that? TikTok. Yeah. Best of Humanity on all those platforms on display every day for anybody to read. So this mesh thing, apparently, it actually looks cool. I mean, given it's one of those things where they're showing the video, but the way it's shown, it's CG'd in, like what supposedly it's going to look like on the virtual end. I would actually like to see from a real perspective how this actually works, which I don't think camera could do. But even if they accurately depicted how it was supposed to be done, that would be cool. But it's supposedly there's a way for it, something on multiple people that they can scan in the body. So you're standing at your table doing research on, in this case, they used, marine biologists and things like that. So you could actually see other people around the hollow projected table and you could manipulate things. They had for like car design, for basically this is stuff that would have, if had this been out when COVID started, would have been really popular with a lot of really high up companies. It looks cool. It looks exactly what you expect from like Star Wars VR projectors, but you just have to have the headset in order to see the hollow projection thing. It uses AI to like stick something in the room where it's supposed to be at. It looks really cool. If you haven't seen I think the trailer is, I'm going to click on it, 2.5 minutes long. It's worth a look just to see how cool it supposedly is, this app. And it also can use avatars. Like if you don't want to, that's once again me supposed to be making dinner right now. But instead I put myself in jeopardy for your entertainment. Also because I still have a little while before I have to make dinner. Yeah, we're making cauliflower pizza crust. Cauliflower pizza crust with pizza on top because of my diet. It's fantastic. But I'm down 25 pounds in a month, so the fucking thing's still working, and I still have to stick to it. No cheeseburgers in my future. Oh, man, a cheeseburger. That sounds so good. Anyway, Mesh. So it looks really cool. I would love to get my hands on something like this. I think projects like this actually are pretty neat. I actually have seen in the company's presentation, they swung for the fences in showcasing potential use cases, bringing in James Cameron, the co-founder of Cirque du Soleil, and Pokemon Go developer Niantic. The Cirque du Soleil guy, he's had a lot of people bring like VR tech so that people can experience Cirque du Soleil without actually being at Cirque du Soleil. And he's told all of them, they still need to come. Apparently, supposedly with this, it's the first time he's really been like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll give it a try. All right, give it a try. Obviously, Niantic, Pokemon Go, doing what you do in Pokemon Go, but actually while you're walking around, I suppose with this headset, although I don't know how exactly that would work. Maybe plugged into your phone, that you would see the Pokemon out there somehow. They don't really go into it that much that I saw here. Nope. They just mention it. So, I don't know how. But supposedly Mesh can be used on HoloLens 2, many VR headsets, so I assume like my Oculus perhaps will be able to do something with it. Phones, tablets, and PCs, providing a window into the futuristic platform for even desktop users. Again, they don't really show how that all looks on your actual screen. I suppose you just see the room projected of where the meetings actually happen, and you might see it be like those, what were the one of those, like a table where all the people, like the Jedi Council room, where like those Jedi Knights or Jedi Masters that weren't there are hollow projected into their chairs. I guess it'd be like that. That's what I assume. Given what they are claiming this will look like, 3D photorealistic presence into the app, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I love stuff like that. We'll see. It's hard to say because a lot of those concept things, like remember what was the Google, was it Google Glass or something that was supposed to, they showed like it projecting Minecraft, or maybe that was HoloLens too, Minecraft onto people's tables and doing that. And that never That never materialized into anything. It was a cool proof of concept, but it was just that. It was just a CGI proof of concept. Supposedly people got their hands on it, and it was neat, but it never got full on out there. So, we'll see. In other news, once again, this little Diglett pops its head up just to be, whacked down again, probably. But I actually think this one's going to become... I don't see how it couldn't. Nintendo Switch Pro, quote unquote. We don't know, obviously, what it would be called. But there's rumor of a Nintendo Switch Pro on the horizon again. Have a bigger screen and 4K output. The ironic thing here is that the 4K output is only to the TV screen, but the OLED, which is going to be 7 inches now, will be made by Samsung and only 720p resolution, which is not really any higher than what it is right now. It seems a little strange. I have a feeling that might be more for power consumption in the battery life, which I'm sure the battery will improve. There's nothing in here about that. But the battery life on the current Switch is a huge thing. Depending on what you're playing. Like I'm gonna bring, like I said, that Bravely Default 2 to the hospital. I'm bringing a damn charger with it too, because a game like that, it will probably be dead in 2.5, 3 hours if I'm lucky. Other big games like I wanted to call it Wind Waker, not the title of that. The Zelda game, which I'm totally blanking on at the moment. You know which one it is, the open world one. It also drains it like 2.5 hours, give or take. So battery's got to be better. Probably keeping it at 720 native resolution on the handheld mode just to keep that. I've seen a few. IGN did a couple mock-ups. It is a bigger display, but it's not like, damn, that's a real big difference. Honestly, the bigger problem would probably be fix your damn Joy-Cons, because I know Yunfei, she has that problem. She's got Joy-Con drift. And also, they're expensive as shit. So when something happens because their product is jacked up and screwy, it's not cheap. I think they're still like $70 or something, $70-$80. Let's see here. Switch Joy-Con. I know everybody loves it when I look stuff up right in the middle of the show because nothing. Yeah, $7.99 still. So $80. $80 to get 2 new Joy-Cons. And not cheap. I mean, especially when you have to get it. It's one thing if you're playing with your nephew and he flings the controller into the wall, if you're lucky, and not into the TV screen, or it just breaks because of something you did. But when just your basic use of 100 hours or so comes up, and your Mario starts to just constantly drift to the diagonal left for seemingly no reason, kind of annoying, and shouldn't be done that way. But for this, it looks exactly the same. It's just slightly bigger. There's not much more to say about it than that because it is still quote unquote a rumor. I would put this rumor at like 95% gonna happen, just because of the 4K thing. Has been a huge sticking point. Been playing that Bravely Default and everything else. I now have a 4K TV, and it looks fine. But it clearly doesn't look as good as even the stuff that's coming out on my Xbox One or my PS4 even. And that's the last generation now. So those just do 1080p, and I know this is supposed to go out at that, but it's still it still shows some artifacting and things like that because it's the resolution's so low. So I don't know. Would you get one of these? I have to say I would be tempted, especially as much as I like the Switch, surprisingly a lot. I got a really good deal on mine. The guy actually, ironically, in my neighborhood, 3 doors down, was selling his for $300, which I know doesn't sound like a great deal because that's what they are. But it also came with the Pro Controller, a case, and 4 games. One of them being a soccer game, which I just whatever, FIFA. I just fucked that one off. And Zelda, which I was already going to get, and Mario Kart, which I was already going to get. And I don't remember the other one, but it was still better than FIFA because I don't like soccer and I don't like sports games even less than I like soccer. So, that's we'll see. I depending on the price point, I might actually be willing to do that, but it would depend. I will say it will be conditional, but I am sorely tempted, especially given the fact that still can't find an Xbox Series X or a PS5 anywhere. And I doubt this one, when it comes out, will probably be any better because scalping is still a problem. This one here, I did see it around, but the first time I saw it, posted by Ericus, Crash While Loading's official Canadian ambassador. He posted it on our stream, which remember, or not a stream, but the Discord, twitch.tv/Crash While Loading. Go to the About, click on our Discord button. If you see a story you like, do it and post it, just like Ericus did. And it looks cool. I don't know that I will play it, only because I don't care for these types of games. It's like, 4 people go into the alien hive. It's aliens, plural, so it takes place in like that does, like the colonial marines. I don't play with a lot of friends. I mean, MMOs is about it, but even that, I role play with them. I don't actually play the game with them. I very rarely do anything with people I am friendly with in video games because it's a hassle. Not like talking to them, but just getting together, and then I'm also a very impatient person, and I like to do things the way I like to do them. And having to stop for, 10 minutes while somebody fucks off because something happened in the background and stuff like that. It's fine when you're role-playing because you could just ignore the fact that they're standing there for 10 minutes, and most people type so slowly, only 3 lines of dialogue go by anyway. But with these things, it's just such a hassle. I never really bother with it, so I typically play alone. But yeah, it's like a Left 4 Dead kind of a thing, but with aliens. It looks neat, if not really generic at the same time. They are apparently well aware of colonial marines and how horrible that was.
Bruh.
Yeah, it was bad. And they're going to try not to make those mistakes. But we also have Alien Isolation, which I played and was neat. I didn't care for it. I didn't finish it. I think I only played about an hour and a half, 2 hours of it. The randomness of the alien showing up like he was a fucking cop from Cyberpunk 2077, I kind of did it. It was also pretty slow-paced, so I didn't bother with that one. But, it looks neat, if not generic. It's got some RPG elements. They'll have skill trees, upgradable weapons, and there's 5 different classes. Hopefully they let you have some character customization in that. We'll see. But, it looks, there's 7 different xenomorph types. So I saw the alien queen in there, obviously, because you can't have an aliens without a queen of some kind to reproduce the little buggers. The only thing that, I will tell you, the one thing that gave me a lot of pause is that the company that is doing this, which I just clicked the article off before I remembered to bring this up, Cold Iron Studios, is a subsidiary of my favorite company ever, Daybreak Games. And I'm not just pronouncing it like a ghetto version of Daybreak Games, man. Daybreak Games. Of course, infamous for destroying the EverQuest franchise, and I have had several rants about how horrible they are. Of course, now they are under ENAD Global 7 or EG7. Daybreak got bought out by them, so it won't be the same game company as it was under Columbus Nova. Fingers crossed, maybe. We don't know yet. It's not been long enough since they bought that out and merged. So hopefully that doesn't get anything, completely jacked up. But, at the very least, I'm going to predict that it is, I'm going to say probably a 6 or a 7. Just, it's not going to be bad. It's just not going to be anything that you can't already play that has done it better. It's going to be Left 4 Dead with an alien skin on it. Kind of like, playing Fortnite with an alien skin, which apparently is really weird to watch that thing floss. Yeah, you don't want to watch your Xenomorph flossing. It's kind of a buzzkill. So, going on in other news, we go from not the best news. If you're a racing car fan, especially if you're a Need for Speed fan, the next Need for Speed has been delayed. I'm not surprised.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah. But the reason it's delayed is not, well, I guess in a roundabout way, it's for COVID. It's because the team working on that has been shifted over to Battlefield, the next Battlefield game, which hasn't even been revealed yet, but it's scheduled to come out in fall sometime, and this is kind of more important than Need for Speed, given, I know what a lot of thinking, how many people are really like, oh, I need for Speed. That's my jam. Yeah, there's more than I would have thought. Apparently, the Need for Speed franchise crossed, I had to look it up, but it crossed 100 million copies sold back in 2009. So 12 years ago now, it crossed that threshold. And there's had several big games since then.
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man.
Yeah, I know. They've had a lot of games since then, so it's probably it's a pretty big franchise overall. And I actually surprised me because I haven't think I've played Need for Speed since the first few came out back in like the early 2000s or so. But they've been switched off that. They're working on it. It's developed by DICE. Apparently, the studio is overtaxed from the effort of developing Battlefield during the pandemic. Told you. In a roundabout way, that's why it's got canceled, because the current team over at DICE is just can't compensate for having to work and do this all this crap from home. So EA seemed to be like, all right, listen, this is a much bigger deal. Battlefield, it's like, I think I just said it, or I wrote it down. I don't know if I actually said it out loud yet. It's their first next-gen console game for the PS5 and the Series X. This needs to go well. And they need it out probably by this year. So they're basically doing all hands on deck. Everything has to go out the door. They need this game to be good. It's Battlefield. This is their version of Call of Duty. And if I remember right, they didn't release one last year. The last one was with the controversial chick on a cover for some reason. I don't know why. Historically, I get it. There weren't a lot of frontline soldiers that were women. Most of them were nurses and things like that. They didn't put women on the front lines in World War I. But it's just a cover. Calm down. Calm your ass down. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you. And besides that, trench coat was fucking awesome. It looked really good blowing in the wind while she was shooting at Nazis. Oh, wait, was it not Nazis? Germans, whatever. It's all the same. Nobody knows about World War I. It's ironic. Everyone knows World War II, but World War I, you ask anybody, and like, I don't know. We were fighting Canadians and Arctic seals, I think. I don't really know how this worked. So, but yeah, it seems like they wrote here, EA seems like they're consolidating everything with them booting Anthem's redesign off. The Mass Effect Legends canceled the multiplayer from Mass Effect 3. The new Dragon Age title, they told them to, which I found out later, apparently, the Dragon Age title coming up, they actually had a lot of a multiplayer thing in there, and EA came to them and just said, just cut it out. Just stop doing it. I don't know if that was bad, or they just realized, you know what? We keep tacking this shit on, and it makes everything else suffer. So maybe we should do what people actually want and are buying our games for, and just do that. It seems like a weird thing, but it actually may be true. I don't know. So moving on, I liked this one. The Ghost of Tsushima developers are made ambassadors of the real Tsushima. Now, the reason this makes me happy is because, first, good for them. The game was awesome. It was one of my favorite games of last year. Second, all the people that were saying the game was cultural appropriation because it wasn't made by people in Japan and a Japanese developer can go fuck themselves because it's cultural appreciation, not cultural appropriation. They did a shit ton of research, and just because they weren't Japanese seemed only to matter to people that are white and have nothing better to do with their time, and then be offended on behalf of those stupid Japanese people that don't know they're supposed to be offended by these white people doing stuff that they really liked. Because white people know better than you. That's right. Remember that. If we say you're offended, you need to be offended. That's how this works. That's the way it's supposed to go. Yeah. Proving you're being anti-colonial while being colonial. It doesn't work so well. So I love everything about this because so 2 members of Sucker Punch were made permanent tourism ambassadors to the city of Tsushima in Nagasaki. The island also obviously is also working on a tourism campaign with Sony, which is really cool. But who is it here? The director, Nate Fox, and creative director, Jason Connell. You could just hear the racism in those names. Can you hear it? Oh, yeah. I can hear it. Both were recognized by Hiroki. I'm sorry. I love the Japanese culture, but I'm terrible at pronouncing the names. Hiroki Hidakatsu, who is the mayor of Tsushima. Developers were recognized for bringing the history of the Japanese Genko period and Tsushima specifically to the world. Of course, unfortunately, the ceremony honoring them had to be digital because of, take a guess. But it was still really cool to see this happen. And in addition to honoring Fox and Connell, Tsushima city officials are working on a tourism campaign for the island based on the game. So, like, if you wanted to go to Tsushima, they're gonna have like did you like the game? Here are spots that were in the game, and they're gonna like a tour of the island, and it will take you across all of the main points of interest, which is pretty cool. And just to show how hateful these developers were in just stealing and appropriating the Japanese culture. This is the first time this honor has been extended to a non-Japanese person, spreading the word about the word of the island through artistic work. The mayor said he doesn't expect the two to do anything with the positions. Obviously, he just wanted to recognize them, and says, "quote." Thanks to the two of them, Sucker Punch Production and SIE, I have heard from people all over the world who have learned about Tsushima through their works and now want to see, know, and go to Tsushima. So, yeah. Suck it. Maybe before you get offended at something on behalf of other people, you should check your privilege. Isn't that how that goes? You're supposed to? Yeah, I think I'm using that correctly. And I would love to go there. I'd actually, not just because of the game. I'd love to go to Japan just in general. But Tsushima would definitely be like on a list of shit I want to see. And in other news, why the director of the canceled BioShock movie kind of revealed why it was canceled. His name is Gore Verbinski, which clearly it's not just the Japanese language and names that I have a problem pronouncing.
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth, man.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of that every time I fucking flub something horribly. But Gore Verbinski, who he did a lot of the Pirates of the Caribbean films, spoke with Collider White, and BioShock came up, and he confirmed there were 2 main reasons that the movie never got off the ground. And one of them was because he had 2 demands and they weren't met. One of them apparently was going to be met with Universal Pictures. He wanted the budget to be $200 million, and apparently that one wasn't the sticking point. I know, right? 200 million. If you've played BioShock, 200 million is probably the exact amount of money you need to make an underwater city with little sisters and big brothers and tell an amazing story with, you know, the Ryan and like the over the top, like, you know, capitalism, the free market, you know, the way over the top Ryan was in that. And second, the bigger one was he wanted to be rated R. He wanted to bring out the big set pieces. The narrative is mature. He wanted that to be show through just like the game is. And apparently that was the main sticking point because Universal wanted it to be a PG-13 rating to appeal to a wider audience, and apparently he was not going to give up on that. I kind of wish he would, because even with PG-13, I mean, you look at Star Wars, they're chopping off people's heads and stuff and leaving it for sons to pick up. I mean, come on, we didn't see... I mean, technically there was the shadow showing that Jango Fett's head fell out of his helmet, but come on. That just means his naked, severed head was near his helmet when Boba went and picked it up. It doesn't mean it's like, oh, the head didn't plop out, but it was probably like 10 feet away. It didn't go that far, really. So that was it, and of course that's what caused the production to be scrapped before it really got going. And wrapping everything up, so spoiler warning, going to talk about Wandavision. If you haven't watched the final episode or the whole season, now's your time to get lost, because I'm going to talk about it. And also why you probably shouldn't stay up till midnight to watch a show, because especially a popular one, you might not get to watch it when it's a streaming service. So now's your warning. This is going to be the last topic of the show. There's not going to be anything after it. So if you're leaving, thanks for listening. Twitch.tv/CrashWhile-Loading. Join us in Discord. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck off. You know, go watch the damn show. Turn this thing off and go watch it right now. So, WandaVision. I loved it. It had some ups and downs. Yeah, there were some slow points, especially in that final episode. The thing was, Quicksilver was a little disappointing, I will say. But overall, the funny thing is apparently people stayed up like till midnight, and because of that, their servers actually crashed, and the show could not be watched when the first few. Not by everybody. There was even a screenshot. We're sorry, but we cannot play the video you requested. Please try again. If the problem persists, contact Disney Plus support. Error code 39. So people stayed up to see it, and I get it because it's really hard not to watch like IGN. Like, can you believe that character showed up with a picture of the fucking face of like Quicksilver or something when he showed up in the show? Like, oh, good. Well, thanks for spoiling that. It's only been 4 hours since the fucking show came out. But yeah, go ahead. And I even hate it when they don't show it. Like, you won't believe what that means. And like, okay, so something clearly very poignant or someone very poignant is going to show up, and it still ruins expectations because it ruins the because you're expecting something big to come. So I fucking hate those. I don't know how many fucking, like, I think Screen Rant, I think I just stopped following them altogether because they were notoriously bad about spoilers within, the morning of. Like, I'm getting ready at 6:30 in the morning, taking a dump, watching on my phone, or going through my phone feed, and then, boop, spoiler. Oh, fantastic. Good. Great. Now I know, so fourth episode's, breaking the wall and actually going back to a movie format-ish. So, okay, good. Cool. Now I don't have to worry about that surprising me or being entertaining. But, so yeah, that happened there. I know I made a lot of predictions last week about what would happen. I'm going to call myself right on the Vision thing, although they didn't combine the way I thought. It was close enough. Him unlocking White Vision's memory, which, by the way, White Vision, check your privilege. Although I don't know why he fucked off and left Wanda there. That was a little weird. It's like, Vision, your wife, she's right there. She could, she's still struggling right now. She hasn't fully embraced the whole Scarlet Witch thing. But that happened. I'm still gonna say that the kids are not dead. I know they showed them disappearing, but if you watch the 2 extra scenes at the end, the very last one showed her, what seemed like a peaceful thing, but her projected self, I forget, the psionic projection of herself reading through the book, and she hears kids call for help. I think that's her kids. I think they still, like I said, I think they still survived. They had powers in this. I still think a Young Avengers thing is coming. Could be wrong. Don't know. The thing with Pietro or Quicksilver, that was just fucking disappointing. I'm going to be honest with you. That it was just Agatha I always want to call her Hawthorne. We'll call her Agatha. Just doing a guy that happened to look like the mutant version of Quicksilver and turning him into Quicksilver and his name was like Richard Boner. It was pretty disappointing. I was really hoping this would be where they start bringing the mutant stuff somehow. I got to give him kudos for doing the Rian Johnson thing in a better way than Rian Johnson does, and with subverting expectations. It's still disappointed when your expectations are something that is going to still happen somehow, and they used that to just bring in, Richard Boner with a magic necklace that gave him speed powers. So that part, I don't know, it kind of sucked. But overall, the pacing was a little weird. The fight scenes were great. It did get, they did such a great job with the show. And just for it to end in, pew-pew power explosions only, it's still a Marvel movie. And it was really well done, and I liked the stuff they did with magic. I was wrong on the Doctor Strange cameo. I was really hoping for that. That would have been so fucking cool. But again, we don't know exactly. We know supposedly that she is going to have an integral and big part in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie that's I think it's coming out this year now. I forget. It's hard to keep track of everything being delayed. You really can't promise it. We're still waiting on Black Widow. So that was disappointing. A little bit. It was my own wish. I just think cameos like that are cool. The Skrull cameo, bring in Monica Rambeau up to see probably Nick Fury, and that her powers, she phased and slowed the bullets and things like that. That she's actually going to be probably a pretty big player in the Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. Sorry, Miss Marvel's a slightly different person. Captain Marvel movie. She's probably going to have a much bigger part in that now, which is cool. Still not a huge fan of Captain Marvel, and it has less to do with the character and more to do with just Brie Larson's portrayal of her. I know, oh, you hate women in movies. No, actually, some of my favorite characters... Ask anybody. Sonya Blade, Chun-Li, Ellen Ripley, Princess Leia. Love strong women. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I like those characters. Jean Grey, tattooed on my fucking arm. Yeah, the symbol that's on her chest for the Phoenix. And that's not just because I like the Phoenix Force stuff. It's because I like Jean Grey and the Phoenix as a character through her. Don't have a problem with that. Brie Larson just isn't a good Captain Marvel, in my opinion. She's, her political stuff aside, but if I judged everybody in Hollywood off their political opinions and didn't like them for that, I wouldn't like any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe probably, and most television shows. I've gotten past that years and years ago. That doesn't bother me. She's just a very boring portrayal. She's kind of like Hayden Christensen as Anakin. He's a good actor. He just portrayed Anakin very, very boringly, and that has more to do with direction than the actual actor's capabilities. In this case, I've seen her in other things. I think it has more to do with her. Like, I saw Jared Leto. I actually watched The Little Things, like I said, and Leto was fantastic in that. He was super creepy. He was great. Fucking worst Joker that's ever existed. Hands down. I'm even talking about Batman Brave and Bold Joker, which is some weird-looking dude. He's just the worst ever. Great actor, though. Just a terrible portrayal. So, I overall, I'd highly recommend the show. It definitely it starts off slow because of the 50s and 60s sitcom thing, but it all pays off so well, especially when they go through all the stuff, going through her past memories. I loved the bit. I knew she had to be missing on when she was fighting Agatha at the end for a reason. Forgot about the rune thing already, and that was really cool. I just enjoyed, and the highlight of it for me, I think, had to be that was the name any scene that had a better costume reveal than when she fully embraced the Scarlet Witch thing. And that costume, the goofy ass looking headset she has in the comics, which is, I mean, it works in comics, but it's dumb in real life. It should be dumb in real life. It's supposed to be really stupid in real life. Look fucking badass. Just even the way that it was like slowly fading in. The costume as a whole, the way they Marvel, MCU-ified her costume, loved the whole thing. Way better than I thought the red trench coat and the corset thing was perfectly fine. It was acceptable. But that is definitely a Scarlet Witch costume. And I'm not a huge Scarlet Witch person, despite what it sounds. I've always liked the character, and I love the stuff that happened with her in House of M, and how she's this Omega-level mutant and things like that. Although now apparently she's a witch, but still the same thing. We'll see, because MCU is bringing in mutants, but we'll see. That was hands down one of my favorite costume reveals of all time. It was just so cool. I tried to think of other things, Neo and Trinity coming around the hallway was pretty cool. Just different. Iron Man, maybe, when that first time when he's got the first, cherry red and gold and it, up his body after he's done all the funny tests and stuff like that, and he goes and does that. That was a great costume reveal. I think this is probably the best one they've done, hands down. But that's just my personal opinion. You can feel free to disagree with me. You'd just be wrong. And that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. Embrace your wrongness. I am right. I have the microphone. That's just how this works. So, and luckily, we don't have long to wait for another Marvel thing. I didn't even realize it was... I knew I'd said it on the show, and it didn't click with me how quickly it would come about after this ended. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier premiere March 19th, which is today is the 7th, so we've got 2 weeks. 2 weeks until we get a brand new Marvel show that's going to go 6 episodes. It'll end on April 23rd as the season finale. That one doesn't say there's a sequel. It just says, it doesn't say there's more than one season. And then after that ends on the 23rd of April, Loki is scheduled to premiere on June 11th, which will be, a month and a half after the fact. So it's a month and a half wait, which is not that bad. And it is, it's the first season, consists also of 6 episodes, and there's already a second season greenlit. So we'll have more of Loki coming up after season 1. So Loki apparently is going to keep going. And the fact that they get Hiddleston, obviously you can't do Loki without Tom Hiddleston. And that all of these, all of them. And one more thing before. Elizabeth Olsen, is that guy? I think. Oh, jeez, I can't believe I forget which of the Olsens. I thought it was Elizabeth. I want to make sure I get her name right. The Scarlet Witch version. Scarlet Witch. I know. I should know this, and I do know it, but now I'm getting her confused with the other ones. Yeah, Elizabeth Olsen. Okay, I want to make sure because she's awesome. She is definitely the more talented of the Olsen sisters because the emotions that she puts and portrays in this, and the heartbreak of why she did what she did, and that they did still kind of leave her the villain, the way she took over people's minds and things like that and controlled them through this whole thing. She definitely wasn't being the hero material that she's supposed to be. She wasn't living up to the things of the standards of an Avenger. But you really felt it. I mean, her loss and things like that, and all the emotional range that she actually put through with this. I really love the way I saw a lot of complaints like, "Where's her I think I even said it. Where's her accent?" And I said it's probably just because it's the TV show. It's American TV. She's got an American accent. I loved that when she went outside of that, her Sarkovian accent returned every single time, and it was very consistent. That was really good, and she does a good accent. It was all well done. She's just, I think they realized what they had in her and that's one of the reasons they took, other than an amazing story that they probably had. And of course, the guy that plays Paul, what's his face, that plays Vision, he's fantastic. I've loved him since A Knight's Tale, if you remember that, with Heath Ledger. It's an older one now, but still, if you've never seen A Knight's Tale, fucking watch that. There's no way a medieval-themed TV show or movie should be able to have modern music in it. They make it work. Totally works. It's a really good story. Also has Alan Tudyk in it, which is one of the first times I remember him, and he was fantastic in that too. So yeah, that's highly recommend WandaVision. It was really good stuff, and if you haven't and you put it off and you're like, oh, it's just dumb, if you're even a little bit of a fan of the MCU, you have got to watch it. Subscribe to I hit the escape button. Subscribe to Disney Plus for a month. Do what I do with like Paramount Plus. Watch it, get it out of the way, or shit. Wait for Winter Soldier to end in April, and then do both at one after the other. And I'm sure it'll be fine because there's no fucking movies coming out between now and then. So binge it in a month. You can binge two really. I'm assuming going off of this that Falcon and the Winter Soldier and off the trailer is going to be fantastic and a lot of fun. So with that, I'm gonna go make god-awful pizza, probably. And if that doesn't work, I'm just going to starve to death, because that's how this works on a diet. And if you're the first you don't succeed, starve again. That's how it goes. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Appreciate you listening live. Those of you that I saw a couple people tune in and out, and that's awesome. I get it. Time constraints. Appreciate that. If you, again, haven't, watch it on... or listen to it. It goes actually up on YouTube. We have YouTube, search Crashed While Loading. You'll find the channel. It typically has everything I do on there right off the bat. I do try to go in and edit out the beginning part where it's just the waiting for the first 15 minutes while people arrive kind of music. It takes a while to edit that out. YouTube has to do stuff. But overall, I thank you all. Appreciate you. I'm Ashton Phoenix. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Toodly diddly.
That's a lot of nuts!
Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his latest in video game rock covers and original music.